Hey everyone, Anthony Scott here at ToyHypeUSA.com. Today we are reviewing FanHome's Iron Man subscription box number 23. And thank you to FanHome for sending along for review. It's greatly appreciated. To subscribe and for more information, check off the links in the YouTube description or the hyperlinks off of ToyHypeUSA.com. That will take you over to the FanHome page where you will find more information about the Iron Man subscription as well as other offerings. This box includes issues 87, 88, 89, 90, and Assembly Guide number 12. Each of these comes with parts to continue on with the build. Here's a look at the cover of issue 87, as well as the parts we're going to be using for assembly. On the cover is War Machine Sentinel. First article, New Phase, putting the genie back in the bottle. A continuation. And here's a look at the assembly. Here's a breakdown of the parts on the left, and on the right is the assembly. Here's a closer look at all the parts. Keep in mind there's a lot of small parts here, bag of screws, and this is where it's going to go. Assembly. It's going to be placed right in those grooves. Next part. Screwing this in, both sides. And assembly. That's what it's going to look like when it's done. Here is an exploded view. All right, next article. Henry Hellrung, a televised Stark. A continuation. And War Machine Sentinel. On the back, we have Iron Man Volume 5, issue number 1 from January 2013, and a look at the next issue. So I'm going to work on assembly now, and let's take a closer look. Here's a look at the completed assembly. The chest details are placed on, as well as the arc reactor cover. When installing the chest details, make sure to leave them inside the plastic tray as everything is numbered, so it's easier to follow along that way. The cover is screwed in on the back, and here's a closer look at that. And I am now moving on to the next issue. Up next is issue 88, and here's the parts we're going to be using for assembly. Here's a closer look at that. On the cover, you have War Machine Lethal Weapon. First article, The Incursions, the Beginning of the End. Here's a continuation. And about halfway through, we have a look at assembly, as well as a breakdown of the parts. So here is a look at that. 2 bags of screws. This is where it's going to go. And here's the steps. And that's assembly there. Here is an exploded view. And now the next article, Squadron Supreme. A continuation. And now, War Machine Lethal Weapon. On the back, we have New Avengers Volume 3, Issue number 1 for March 2013, and a look at the next issue. I am going to work on assembly now, and let's take a closer look. Here's a look at the completed assembly, and I am now moving on to the next issue, which is 89. Here's a look at issue 89, including the parts that we're going to be using for assembly. Inside this issue, War Machine Satellite. First article, New Departures, a Stellar Revelation. A continuation. And here's a breakdown of the parts, including assembly. Here is a closer look. 2 bags of screws, these 2 plates. This is where it's going to go. Here are the steps. Second page. And assembly into the chest. This is what it's going to look like. It's going to fit on right there. An exploded view. We're going to be using the 2 parts that we just assembled right in there. Here's a look at the neck. Next article, Tony's Powers. A continuation. And War Machine Satellite. On the back is Iron Man Volume 5, Issue number 9 from June 2013. And I'll look at the next issue. I'm going to assemble this now, and let's take a closer look. Here's a look at the completed assembly. As you see here, the neck piece is complete, assembled, snapped in, and I am now moving on to issue 90. Here's a look at issue 90, including the parts we're going to be using for assembly. Here's a closer look at the cover of issue 90, featuring Avengers Forever, Iron Man. First article, after the defeat in Avengers movie. Avengers Endgame issue. A continuation. Another one. And here's a look at the parts and assembly. Breakdown of the parts, 2 bags of screws. And this is where it's going to go, abdominal. Here is a closer look at the assembly. An exploded view. And one last look. Avengers Forever, Heroes for All Errors from the comics. A continuation. And on the back, we have Avengers Forever, issue number 1 from December 1998. And a look at the next issue. I am going to work on assembly now. And let's take a closer look. Here's a look at the completed assembly. Pay extra attention to what you're doing, as both these red pieces are different. And I am now moving on to the assembly guide. Here's a look at the assembly guide, number 12, and a look at the parts we're going to be using. Same parts as we've used in the past several issues. So look at the cover and assembly. Same type of assembly as well. Nothing new here. Here's a breakdown of the parts you should get in the set. And here's a look at assembly. So I'm going to work on this right now. There's something on the back here. This is new for the batteries. This would light up as shown. So I'm going to work on assembly now, and let's take a closer look. Here's a look at the completed assembly. For the steps of the base, it's the same what we've done before. So just look at the magazine and it's straightforward. Overall, this is a great box, definitely coming along. Iron Man is more than a half complete, and I for one cannot wait until he's fully assembled. Thank you again to FanHome for sending along for a review. It's greatly appreciated. To subscribe and for more information, click off the links in the YouTube description or the hyperlinks off of toyhypeusa.com, which will bring you over to the FanHome website where you'll find more information about this subscription and others that they're offering. I am Anthony Scott at toyhypeusa.com. Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned for more coverage and reviews.